If someone had told me the sender was the woman no one could place on the guest list, I would have stuck to the seating chart. She had no intention of going. Not then, not ever. The wedding invitation sat unopened on the marble kitchen counter for 11 days and 17 hours before it was finally tossed into the fire. Still sealed, still reeking of lilac perfume and false promises. The name embossed in gold foil mocked her with its elegance. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Catalina Reyes and Lena Whitfield. Catalina Reyes. The name alone used to be enough to make her throat tighten, her chest burn. Now it only made her grip tighten on the glass of whiskey she never used to drink. She didn't do weddings. She didn't do cordially. And she most certainly didn't do Catalina. Not anymore. The fire swallowed the envelope like it had swallowed every trace of that summer 5 years ago. Good. She built her empire by cutting off her emotions like dead limbs, ruthless, efficient, surgical. There was no place for nostalgia in billion-dollar contracts. No room for soft things like apologies or regrets or that ridiculous ache behind her ribs. That had never fully healed. The morning after the envelope turned to ash, her assistant knocked on her office door. 3 precise taps. "Ma'am, you have a message." She barely looked up from the screen. "Tell them to email me." It wasn't an email. The hesitation in her assistant's voice made her glance up. It was a handwritten note. No return address. Just this. She handed it over like it was a bomb. One narrow piece of paper. One line written in neat cursive. "Save me a seat beside you." She read it once, twice. Her fingers didn't tremble, but her chest did something strange, something sharp and involuntary, like the echo of a name you're trying not to remember. The note had no signature, but the handwriting was achingly familiar. It wasn't Catalina's. That much she knew, but it was someone who knew her, someone who knew them. She stood up slowly. "Cancel all my meetings for the week." "Ma'am," I said, "cancel them." The glass wall reflected her image back to her. Sharp black suit, expression carved from stone, eyes suddenly too alive. She hated it. Hated that one piece of paper could shake the foundation she'd built herself on. But she also couldn't ignore it. Someone wanted her at that wedding. Someone wanted her seated beside them, and she needed to know who. The flight to the coast was booked in under 30 minutes. She hadn't been back to that town in 5 years. Not since Catalina chose safety over chaos. Not since she walked out of that rented beach house with nothing but her pride and a suitcase full of fury. She was walking back into a story that had never truly ended, just been buried alive. The small hotel she chose sat a 15-minute drive from the wedding venue. Too close for comfort. Too far to run. At the desk, the receptionist offered that tight, careful smile people reserve for celebrities they don't know how to approach. She let it slide past. The room was sterile. White sheets, sea view, a bowl of fruit she wouldn't touch. She opened her suitcase with the precision of unsealing a case file. Every dress chosen for control. Every pair of heels honed like armor. That night, sleep refused her. The same thoughts looped and looped. Who sent the message? Who knew she might be weak enough to show up? Who wanted her there? And more than that, why? Morning found her in the town square, hunting coffee with her hood pulled low, sunglasses hiding what recognition might catch. That's when she saw her. Not Catalina. No. The woman at the cafe window wasn't anyone she knew, but she looked at her as if she'd been waiting, as if she already understood. Dark red mouth, eyes ancient and dangerous, the faintest edge of a smile cruel, almost, but not unkind. She stepped inside. Their gazes caught for less than 5 seconds. Enough. The stranger didn't greet her, didn't offer a name, only lifted her espresso and said, almost idly, "You came after all." Cold slid through her veins. "Who are you?" Another lazy curve of a smile. "I'm the one who saved you a seat." She didn't sit. Not yet. Her legs carried her toward the table as if they weren't entirely hers. Slow, measured while heat climbed in her chest, naming something she refused to name. The cafe smelled of sea salt and coffee grounds. Too real, too alive. She'd spent years building herself a world of glass and silence, and a single sentence had cracked it. The woman who claimed she'd sent it drank her espresso as if nothing were strange, as if this weren't a confrontation, as if none of it were dangerous at all. She was older than Catalina, maybe early 30s, maybe younger, but there was something about her presence, fluid, heavy, sharp as wine, and colder than snow. She raised an eyebrow as the billionaire finally sat, jaw tense, fingers clenched. "I asked you a question," she said. Her voice came out low and quiet, deadly calm. "Who are you?" The woman tilted her head slightly. "I already told you. I'm the one who saved you a seat. You're not on the guest list. Neither are you." That earned her a hard look. "I could make one call and find out exactly who you are in 30 seconds. And yet, you haven't." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You're not used to not having the upper hand, are you?" Silence fell between them like a stone in deep water. The billionaire looked away first. Out the window, the sea glittered like it had 5 years ago. That damn beach. That damn house. That summer that ruined everything. "You knew Catalina?" she said finally. "Tell me how I could. But what fun would that be?" The stranger leaned forward slightly. "You didn't come back for the wedding. You came because you still have questions about her, about yourself, about why someone like you can't sleep at night." The billionaire flinched before she could stop herself. "You don't know me. I know enough." "And what exactly do you think you know?" "That you walked away from the only person who ever saw the softness under all that steel. That you told yourself it was strength. That you lied." The billionaire stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. Her heart was thundering in her chest. "I don't know what game you're playing, but you have no idea what happened between me and Catalina." The woman's voice didn't rise. "Then why are you still so angry?" She didn't answer. Couldn't. She turned and walked out into the street, pulse pounding, fists clenched. She told herself she wouldn't look back. She almost made it to the corner before she heard the voice again, closer now behind her. "She's not happy." The billionaire froze. The words slid into her like ice through silk. "What?" The woman stepped beside her. "Catalina. She's not happy. Not with the person she's marrying. Not with the life she's pretending fits her. She wakes up every morning aching for something she won't name. And you know it." She turned, face unreadable. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you needed to hear it. Because you're the only one who can stop this wedding. You don't know what you're talking about, don't I?" Her voice lowered. "She still writes you letters. Every year. Birthday, Christmas, the date you left. She never sends them, but she writes them. I've read them." That hit her harder than she wanted to admit. Catalina wrote to her after everything. She looked away. "If she wanted me there, she would have said it. Maybe she's too proud or too scared. Or maybe she thinks you forgot her. I tried to. And how's that working out for you?" The billionaire said nothing. The woman slipped a folded note into her hand, then walked away without another word. For a moment, she didn't move. Then slowly, she unfolded it. It wasn't written in the stranger's elegant cursive. It was messier, softer, familiar. It said only one thing. "I can't stop dreaming about the way you looked at me that night." Her breath caught. She knew exactly what night it meant. 5 years ago. The storm, the kiss, the moment they could never take back. She closed her eyes, fists trembling. Damn it. Damn her. She wasn't supposed to feel like this anymore. She wasn't supposed to feel anything at all. That night came rushing back like a flood. Catalina soaked from the rain, standing in the middle of the living room barefoot, mascara streaking with fury and something more desperate underneath. "Say it," she'd said back then. "Say you want me and I'll stay." But she hadn't. She let her walk away, told herself it was better that way. Cleaner, safer. She lied. She lied and it cost them everything. Now on the edge of a wedding that felt like a funeral, the ghosts were back, and one of them had sent a stranger to stir the ashes. She went back to the hotel in silence. Her mind raced the whole night, haunted by Catalina's laugh, the way her voice would drop when she was nervous, the freckle on her collarbone, the look in her eyes that night like she was offering something sacred and breakable. She didn't sleep. Again, in the morning, there was another note under her door. This one wasn't a message. It was an invitation. No return name, just a time, a place, and a final line. If you still feel it, come find me. She read it 3 times. The handwriting wasn't Catalina's. It was hers. She stared at the note for a long time. The handwriting wasn't just similar. It was identical. The curves of the letters, the slant of the Y's, the way the T's were crossed low and wide. It was hers, but she hadn't written it. She hadn't picked up a pen in months, hadn't written anything by hand since her last board meeting, and certainly not something this raw. Her own words in her own hand, but from someone else. It didn't make sense, unless she sat down slowly at the edge of the bed, her mind already spiraling into memories. She tried to lock behind steel doors. That summer, the beach house, Catalina, she could still smell the sea air, hear the sound of her laughter in the kitchen, barefoot, hair wild, holding a cup of coffee like it was the only thing grounding her to the earth. She used to write things down back then in secret notebooks, in the backs of receipts, on napkins and scraps, letters she'd never sent, feelings she never voiced. It was stupid, reckless, but Catalina used to say her silence was the loudest thing in the room. Maybe she was right. One night, after a fight so bitter they didn't speak for hours, Catalina found one of those letters under the bed. She'd read it aloud, trembling, her voice breaking on every word. "I can't love her out loud," she whispered, "because if I do, I lose everything. But if I don't, I lose her." That night they kissed like the world was ending. And maybe in a way it was because 2 weeks later Catalina left. Or maybe she did. She couldn't even remember who walked out first anymore. Only that the silence that followed was colder than any fight. She folded the new note carefully and placed it inside her wallet next to an old photograph. She pretended she didn't carry. Then she checked the time. The invitation. No. The summons had said 6 p.m. The place was a small gallery by the coast. She hadn't been inside it since before the collapse. She arrived 10 minutes early, parked the car, and stared at the building like it might bite her. It hadn't changed. The same old wooden door, the faded red brick, the salt-worn windows. She stepped inside slowly. The lights were dim. The room smelled like oil paint and varnish. And then she saw it. A single painting centered on the wall lit by one narrow spotlight. A portrait of her. The sight hit like a fist to the ribs. She stepped closer. It wasn't perfect. The lines were too stark, the colors bruised. But it was her. Not as she was now, as she'd been 5 years ago. Eyes too bright, a smile half forced, guarded and already fracturing. The signature at the bottom wasn't Catalina's. It wasn't the stranger's, either. "You still carry that photograph," a voice said behind her. She spun. The woman from the cafe stood in the doorway, arms crossed, unreadable. "How did you?" "I painted it," the woman said simply. "Years ago, after I met her." "Met who?" "Catalina." The name landed between them like a blade. "You said you weren't on the guest list." "I'm not. But you know her." "You knew me. How?" "She told me about you," the woman answered, walking closer, unhurried. "The first time we met, she was drunk and furious and wearing your sweatshirt. She said your name like it hurt. That doesn't explain the note." "My handwriting. You left pieces of yourself in that house," the woman said. "In her journals. In me." The billionaire's breath snagged in her throat. "She never really let you go," the woman went on. "And maybe that's why I couldn't, either. I don't even know who you are." "No," the woman said softly. "But I know who you were. I know what she saw in you. I know how you looked at her when you thought no one was watching. What do you want from me?" "Nothing." The woman's voice quieted. But she wants you there even if she'll never admit it. She's marrying someone else. People do foolish things when they're afraid. And if she doesn't want me anymore, then leave, the woman said, but not without looking her in the eyes first. Enjoying this story? Tap like to help us grow and drop a 0 to 10 rating in the comments. Your feedback matters. She handed over another note, folded and weighty. Inside, a Polaroid. Catalina on the beach, wearing the sweatshirt she'd thought was lost. A small, private smile as if she were waiting. The message, in familiar handwriting. She'll sit on the left side. Second row. That's where you'll know. The woman turned to go. Wait, the billionaire said. Why are you helping me? The woman glanced back. Eyes finally softened. Because someone once saved a seat for me, and I never sat down. She vanished into the gallery's shadow, and for the first time in years, warmth stirred in the billionaire's chest. Not hope, not yet, but something like it. She looked again at the painting, then at the photo in her hand. Tomorrow was the wedding, and for the first time since she'd burned the invitation, she knew she would be there. The morning of the wedding arrived blanketed in fog, low and thick, as if the town itself wasn't sure it should let the day begin. She stood at the hotel window, coffee untouched, staring at a coastline she once knew by heart. It felt like the universe was holding its breath. So was she. She hadn't slept. Not from nerves, not exactly. It was heavier than that, like grief. Like walking back into the fire that once burned you just to see if it still hurts. Her dress was black, razor clean lines. No embellishment. Not subtle. Not apologetic. She wasn't there to blend in. She was there to be seen by one person and one person only. The drive to the venue was short. Catalina's private estate perched on a cliff, modern glass and endless sea, secluded enough to hide, exposed enough to be watched by the horizon. She had expected something more traditional from her, safe, predictable. But no, this place had Catalina all over it. Beautiful, bold, impossible to forget. The valet didn't recognize her at first. Then he blinked twice, almost dropped the keys. I know who I am, she said, brushing past him. The entryway was filled with soft music and too many flowers. She hated weddings, the fake smiles, the staged emotions, the way everything tried too hard to be perfect. But as she stepped into the main hall, her heart caught. There she was, Catalina across the room, back turned, surrounded by people, but unmistakable. The curve of her shoulders, the way she held her hands together like she was always restraining something. Her hair was longer now, curled into soft waves. Her dress was pale champagne, delicate lace trailing down her back. She looked ethereal, untouchable, like a memory made real. The woman from the gallery hadn't lied. Second row, left side, one seat empty. Her seat. She walked toward it slowly. Every step felt like a betrayal of the silence she'd sworn to keep. People turned, whispered, stared. She didn't care. She sat, eyes forward, hands still. The ceremony hadn't started. Not yet. Catalina hadn't turned. Not once. But she knew. The stiffness in her spine, the way her fingers curled tighter, she knew. And then, without warning, she turned just for a second. Their eyes met. Everything stopped. 5 years unraveled in a single heartbeat. There was no smile, no greeting, just the kind of eye contact that burned, that said, "You're here. I hate that you're here. I need you here." And then she looked away. The music shifted. People stood. The ceremony began. Catalina didn't look back again. She went through the motions like a ghost. Vows, rings, the whole performance. But her voice trembled. Her eyes darted to the crowd, once toward her. Brief, quick, not enough for anyone else to notice. But she did, and that was enough. The woman standing beside Catalina, the bride, was pretty elegant, perfectly composed. But she wasn't looking at Catalina the way she had. There was no fire in her gaze, no fear of losing something that mattered. Just comfort, just routine. When the officiant pronounced them married, the applause felt hollow. Catalina flinched so subtly only she would notice, and then it was done. She rose from her seat. She should have left then, slipped away while the crowd swelled forward, while the photographers flashed, while the music drowned out the silence between them. But she didn't. She waited, and Catalina came to her. Not immediately, not gracefully, but eventually. Their eyes met again across the room, and Catalina broke away from the crowd, walked toward her like every step cost her something. When they finally stood face to face, the world dimmed. "You came," Catalina said, voice low. "You asked me to." "No, I didn't." Her throat tightened. "Then who did?" Catalina didn't answer. Her eyes were glassy. Her hands trembled. "You shouldn't be here." "Then why is there a seat with my name on it?" "Because some part of me," she exhaled sharply. "I wanted to see if you still would." They stood in silence. Everything else faded. "You look the same," Catalina said finally. "Colder, maybe. You look different. Better. Tired." A bitter smile. "You ruined me for sleep." "Don't say that," Catalina whispered. "Why not?" "Because it still hurts." "Then why are you marrying someone else?" "Because you left. Because you let me." Catalina's breath caught. Her eyes glistened. She looked down. "I waited. You never came back. You never asked me to. I didn't think I had to." They were too close now. Too much history between them, and not enough forgiveness. "So this is it?" the billionaire asked. "I came all this way just to watch you pretend. You don't know what this is. Then tell me." "I can't." She reached out then. Barely. Her fingers brushing against Catalina's wrist. Electric. Immediate. Catalina pulled back like it burned. "Don't," she said, trembling. "Not here." "When then?" "I don't know. Say you don't love me, and I'll leave." Catalina opened her mouth. Closed it. Tears filled her eyes. But she said nothing. The billionaire stepped back. Nodded once. "That's what I thought." And she turned. Walked away. Her chest cracked open with every step. The second she reached the door, someone grabbed her arm. Not Catalina. The woman from the gallery. Again. "She's not done," she said. "Neither are you. She's married. Only on paper." "It's too late." "You keep saying that." The woman snapped. "But you keep coming back." The billionaire looked at her, eyes blazing. "Why do you care?" "Because someone has to." She shoved something into her hand. A key. "Room 312. Tonight, she'll be there. Unless you walk away again." And just like that, she was gone. The key burned in her palm the entire drive to the hotel. Room 312. The numbers repeated themselves like a countdown, like a warning. She shouldn't be doing this. Catalina was married. Technically, publicly, legally. But none of that mattered. Not when her chest was cracking open with every breath. Not when her skin still remembered the way Catalina had pulled back like her touch was fire. And not when a single word from her could still tear her apart. She didn't knock. She couldn't. Her fingers hovered near the door handle, the key already warm from her grip. And for one long moment, she almost turned away. Almost. But she'd spent 5 years pretending she didn't care. 5 years making empires, building walls, mastering silence. And still, all it took was one message to bring her to her knees. She slid the key into the lock and pushed the door open. The room was dim, quiet. A single lamp cast soft gold light across the bed. And there, sitting in the armchair by the window, barefoot, dress wrinkled, hair undone, eyes red, was Catalina. She didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. The silence between them was immediate and unbearable. "You came," Catalina whispered. Her voice was raw, scraped open from emotion she couldn't hide. "You asked me to," the billionaire said, her own voice tighter than she meant. Catalina shook her head. "No, I didn't. I never would have been brave enough to then." "Who?" "I know who she is. The woman who sent the notes. The one who brought you back. She's a friend. Sort of. She saw what I couldn't admit. which is Catalina stood slowly, her bare feet soundless against the carpet. She walked toward her, each step full of hesitance and gravity. That I never stopped waiting for you. Even after I said yes to someone else, you married her. I went through a ceremony. I didn't promise my heart. I couldn't because it was never mine to give. She was inches away now. Her eyes shone with tears but didn't fall. Why didn't you fight for me? The billionaire flinched. I thought you wanted me to let you go. I never wanted that. I just wanted you to ask me to stay. I was afraid. So was I. Catalina's breath hitched. But I loved you. I still. She stopped herself, biting her bottom lip like the word itself might undo her. The billionaire closed the distance between them. One step, slow, deliberate. Then say it. You don't deserve it. Probably not. Her voice cracked. But I need it. Catalina's hands reached out, not to touch, but to study herself. You destroyed me. You destroyed me first. I wrote to you every year. I read them. Did you write back? No. Catalina looked down. Why? Because I didn't trust myself. Because if I started writing, I would have come back and I didn't think you'd want me anymore. I hated you. I hated me more. The pause between them was thick with everything unsaid. And then, like neither of them could hold it anymore, Catalina stepped forward and pressed her forehead against the billionaire's shoulder. Not a hug, not forgiveness, just proximity, heat, pain, longing. The billionaire didn't move. Her hands hovered in the air, unsure, afraid. Then slowly, she wrapped her arms around Catalina, pulling her in. Feeling the shape of her after all these years, she felt smaller, softer, more breakable. Or maybe she was the one breaking. Catalina's voice came out muffled. I thought you'd forgotten how to hold me. I never forgot. Then why did you let go? Because it hurt too much to pretend it was enough. Catalina pulled back, eyes glassy, searching her face. Was it ever real for you? It was the only thing that was. Then why did we lose it? Because neither of us knew how to be loved. Not really. Not safely. Catalina blinked. I'm not safe now either. No. The billionaire exhaled. But I'm not leaving this time. Catalina's hands found hers, fingers lacing together slowly. Their skin remembered. Their bodies remembered. You're still angry, the billionaire whispered. Yes, you're still hurt always. And you still want me. Catalina looked at her, and the answer was written in every shattered part of her expression. God, yes. And then finally, they kissed. It wasn't soft. It wasn't slow. It was 5 years of grief and fury and love and silence crashing into a single impossible moment. Lips clashing, hands tangled, tears mixing between breaths. The kiss tasted like everything they never said when they pulled apart, breathing uneven. Catalina pressed her forehead to the billionaire's. I don't know what happens now. Neither do I. She's still downstairs. I know. What do I do? Whatever your heart says. It's screaming. What's it saying? Don't let go again. The billionaire closed her eyes, tightening her hold. I won't. But even as they stood wrapped in each other, the world outside the room was waiting. The reality, the consequences. The woman, Catalina, had just vowed herself to, and the mess they would have to clean together. But for that moment, for just that one night, they chose each other again. Not in secret, not in shame, but finally, truly, completely, and neither of them moved. The morning light was cruel. It came through the hotel curtains like truth itself, exposing everything it touched. And for the first time in 5 years, she wished the night could have lasted forever. She was awake before Catalina, not moving, barely breathing. The bed smelled like her again. Warm skin, faint perfume, memories that had. She watched her sleep for a moment too long, memorizing every new detail. There was a line at the corner of her mouth now, a tension between her brows even in rest. She looked peaceful, but not untouched. Catalina shifted slightly, her fingers curling around the edge of the sheet like she was still holding on to something, or someone. The billionaire closed her eyes and let the silence settle between them, thick and unspoken. The kiss, the hands, the way their bodies remembered each other like no time had passed. But she didn't. She waited, and Catalina came to her. Not immediately, not gracefully, but eventually. Their eyes met again across the room, and Catalina broke away from the crowd, walked toward her like every step cost her something. When they finally stood face to face, the world dimmed. "You came," Catalina said, voice low. "You asked me to." "No, I didn't." Her throat tightened. "Then who did?" Catalina didn't answer. Her eyes were glassy. Her hands trembled. "You shouldn't be here." "Then why is there a seat with my name on it?" "Because some part of me," she exhaled sharply. "I wanted to see if you still would." They stood in silence. Everything else faded. "You look the same," Catalina said finally. "Colder, maybe. You look different. Better. Tired." A bitter smile. "You ruined me for sleep." "Don't say that," Catalina whispered. "Why not?" "Because it still hurts." "Then why are you marrying someone else?" "Because you left. Because you let me." Catalina's breath caught. Her eyes glistened. She looked down. "I waited. You never came back. You never asked me to. I didn't think I had to." They were too close now. Too much history between them, and not enough forgiveness. "So this is it?" the billionaire asked. "I came all this way just to watch you pretend. You don't know what this is. Then tell me." "I can't." She reached out then. Barely. Her fingers brushing against Catalina's wrist. Electric. Immediate. Catalina pulled back like it burned. "Don't," she said, trembling. "Not here." "When then?" "I don't know. Say you don't love me and I'll leave." Catalina opened her mouth, closed it. Tears filled her eyes, but she said nothing. The billionaire stepped back, nodded once. "That's what I thought." And she turned, walked away. Her chest cracked open with every step. The second she reached the door, someone grabbed her arm. Not Catalina, the woman from the gallery. Again. "She's not done," she said. "Neither are you. She's married. Only on paper. It's too late." "You keep saying that," the woman snapped. "But you keep coming back." The billionaire looked at her, eyes blazing. "Why do you care?" "Because someone has to." She shoved something into her hand. A key. "Room 312. Tonight, she'll be there. Unless you walk away again." And just like that, she was gone. The key burned in her palm the entire drive to the hotel. Room 312. The numbers repeated themselves like a countdown, like a warning. She shouldn't be doing this. Catalina was married. Technically, publicly, legally. But none of that mattered. Not when her chest was cracking open with every breath. Not when her skin still remembered the way Catalina had pulled back like her touch was fire. And not when a single word from her could still tear her apart. She didn't knock. She couldn't. Her fingers hovered near the door handle, the key already warm from her grip. And for one long moment, she almost turned away. Almost. But she'd spent 5 years pretending she didn't care. 5 years making empires, building walls, mastering silence. And still, all it took was one message to bring her to her knees. She slid the key into the lock and pushed the door open. The room was dim, quiet. A single lamp cast soft gold light across the bed. And there, sitting in the armchair by the window, barefoot, dress wrinkled, hair undone, eyes red, was Catalina. She didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. The silence between them was immediate and unbearable. "You came," Catalina whispered. Her voice was raw, scraped open from emotion she couldn't hide. "You asked me to," the billionaire said, her own voice tighter than she meant. Catalina shook her head. "No, I didn't. I never would have been brave enough to then." "Who?" "I know who she is. The woman who sent the notes. The one who brought you back. She's a friend. Sort of." She saw what I couldn't admit, which is Catalina stood slowly, her bare feet soundless against the carpet. She walked toward her, each step full of hesitance and gravity. That I never stopped waiting for you. Even after I said yes to someone else, you married her. I went through a ceremony. I didn't promise my heart. I couldn't because it was never mine to give. She was inches away now. Her eyes shone with tears but didn't fall. Why didn't you fight for me? The billionaire flinched. I thought you wanted me to let you go. I never wanted that. I just wanted you to ask me to stay. I was afraid. So was I. Catalina's breath hitched. But I loved you. I still. She stopped herself, biting her bottom lip like the word itself might undo her. The billionaire closed the distance between them. One step, slow, deliberate. Then say it. You don't deserve it. Probably not. Her voice cracked. But I need it. Catalina's hands reached out, not to touch, but to study herself. You destroyed me. You destroyed me first. I wrote to you every year. I read them. Did you write back? No. Catalina looked down. Why? Because I didn't trust myself. Because if I started writing, I would have come back and I didn't think you'd want me anymore. I hated you. I hated me more. The pause between them was thick with everything unsaid. And then, like neither of them could hold it anymore, Catalina stepped forward and pressed her forehead against the billionaire's shoulder. Not a hug, not forgiveness, just proximity, heat, pain, longing. The billionaire didn't move. Her hands hovered in the air, unsure, afraid. Then slowly, she wrapped her arms around Catalina, pulling her in. Feeling the shape of her after all these years, she felt smaller, softer, more breakable. Or maybe she was the one breaking. Catalina's voice came out muffled. I thought you'd forgotten how to hold me. I never forgot. Then why did you let go? Because it hurt too much to pretend it was enough. Catalina pulled back, eyes glassy, searching her face. Was it ever real for you? It was the only thing that was. Then why did we lose it? Because neither of us knew how to be loved. Not really. Not safely. Catalina blinked. I'm not safe now either. No. The billionaire exhaled. But I'm not leaving this time. Catalina's hands found hers, fingers lacing together slowly. Their skin remembered. Their bodies remembered. You're still angry, the billionaire whispered. Yes, you're still hurt always. And you still want me. Catalina looked at her, and the answer was written in every shattered part of her expression. God, yes. And then finally, they kissed. It wasn't soft. It wasn't slow. It was 5 years of grief and fury and love and silence crashing into a single impossible moment. Lips clashing, hands tangled, tears mixing between breaths. The kiss tasted like everything they never said when they pulled apart. Breathing uneven, Catalina pressed her forehead to the billionaire's. I don't know what happens now. Neither do I. She's still downstairs. I know. What do I do? Whatever your heart says. It's screaming. What's it saying? Don't let go again. The billionaire closed her eyes, tightening her hold. I won't. But even as they stood wrapped in each other, the world outside the room was waiting. The reality, the consequences. The woman, Catalina, had just vowed herself to, and the mess they would have to clean together. But for that moment, for just that one night, they chose each other again. Not in secret, not in shame, but finally, truly, completely, and neither of them moved. The morning light was cruel. It came through the hotel curtains like truth itself, exposing everything it touched. And for the first time in 5 years, she wished the night could have lasted forever. She was awake before Catalina, not moving, barely breathing. The bed smelled like her again. Warm skin, faint perfume, memories that had. She watched her sleep for a moment too long, memorizing every new detail. There was a line at the corner of her mouth now, a tension between her brows even in rest. She looked peaceful, but not untouched. Catalina shifted slightly, her fingers curling around the edge of the sheet like she was still holding on to something. Or someone. The billionaire closed her eyes and let the silence settle between them, thick and unspoken. The kiss, The hands, the way their bodies remembered each other like no time had passed. They walked to the car in a slow, waited quiet, the space between them full of what had happened and what waited beyond the hotel walls. Inside, Catalina stared out the window, fingers locked in her lap. She didn't cry, she said again. You told me, but she didn't scream either. She didn't even look surprised, because she knew I still loved you. Yes. Catalina turned. Careful. Did you? The billionaire kept her eyes forward. What do you think brought me here? Guilt. Maybe a beat. No. She met Catalina's gaze. Love. Still. Always. Silence shut tight, like a door slamming. Catalina's shoulders loosened by a fraction. I keep waiting for it to feel wrong for me to hate myself. Do you? Not yet. Maybe later. Maybe when it hits me that I broke someone else to fix myself. The billionaire reached over and touched her fingers. You didn't break her. You just stopped pretending. Catalina didn't answer. They drove for a while without speaking. Past the town, past the cliff roads, toward nothing in particular. Catalina had canceled the honeymoon. She had no home anymore. At least not with her. The billionaire offered her penthouse in the city. But Catalina had shaken her head. Not yet, she'd said. I need to breathe first. And now the car rolled along the coast like time was suspended until Catalina finally spoke. Can I ask you something? Anything? Did you ever sleep with anyone else? The question wasn't cruel. It was soft, curious, heavy. After us? Yes. The billionaire didn't lie. Yes. Catalina nodded, looking out the window again. Did you love them? No. Did you try to? Not really. Then why? Because I thought it would help. It didn't. A pause. You? Catalina shook her head. Just her. The billionaire swallowed. Was it enough? It was quiet. Safe. I think I mistook that for love. And now I know what it wasn't. The car stopped at a lookout point. The ocean roaring below. They got out, stood at the edge, wind pulling at their hair. Neither of them moving to speak until Catalina whispered, "What if this doesn't work?" The billionaire turned toward her. Then it doesn't. But we try. And if I run again, then I chase you harder. And if I push you away, then I hold on tighter. And if I break, then I break with you. Catalina turned to her slowly, eyes full. You say that like you're not scared. I'm terrified. Then why stay? Because I'd rather burn with you than be cold without you. Catalina closed her eyes. God, I missed you. Show me. Catalina kissed her then. Not like before. Not desperate. Not chaotic. This kiss was slow, intentional, like a promise, like a beginning. When they pulled apart, Catalina leaned her head on her shoulder. I don't know who I am anymore. You will. Will you still want me when I do? I want every version of you. They stayed like that until the wind grew too sharp. Back in the car, the billionaire's phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. Just one line. You still owe me a truth. She stared at the screen, jaw tight. Catalina noticed. Who is it? Someone I thought was finished with us. The woman from a cafe. Yes. What truth? The billionaire didn't answer. She started the car. Let's go. To where? Back to where it started. Catalina blinked. The beach house. Yes, it still exists. I kept it. Why? Because I never stopped hoping. The drive there was heavy with anticipation. Catalina didn't ask more questions. She stared at the road like it held memories. When they arrived, the sight of the house stole her breath. Nothing had changed. Same paint, same porch, same windows that used to fog with late-night arguments and early morning forgiveness. You really kept it, Catalina whispered. I never came back until now. They stepped inside together. The air was thick with dust and ghosts. Every corner echoed with the version of themselves they used to be. You said you owed her a truth, Catalina said. What truth? The billionaire walked to the fireplace, picked up a small wooden box from the mantel, opened it. Inside were folded papers. Dozens. all in her handwriting. I wrote to you, too, she said. I just never sent them. Catalina stepped closer, breath caught. Why? Because they were never good enough. Because I thought if I wrote it all down, I'd stop needing you. She handed her one of the letters. Catalina unfolded it slowly. Read in silence. Then another, then another. Her hands were shaking. You loved me more than I knew, she whispered. I loved you in every way I couldn't say out loud. Catalina looked up and her, the woman who sent the notes. Why is she still watching? The billionaire exhaled. Because I left her, too, not romantically, but emotionally. I shut her out when she tried to help. She was there when we ended. She saw the worst in me. And now I think she wants to see if I've changed. Catalina stepped closer. Have you? The billionaire's voice was quiet. I'm trying. Catalina reached for her hand. Then let's find out together. And just like that, they weren't alone in the past anymore. They were standing in it, facing it, and for the first time, finally ready to walk through it together. The beach house breathed around them like a living thing, saturated with memory. Catalina stood by the window, holding the last of the unsent letters in her hand like it might still burn her. The billionaire watched her from across the room, heart clenched with every second of silence. She could feel it coming, the unraveling, the shift. Catalina didn't speak right away. She just kept reading, her fingers trembling slightly, jaw tight. When she finally looked up, her eyes were unreadable. You said you wanted me to know everything. I do. Then tell me the part you left out. The billionaire swallowed. Her throat burned. You wouldn't be asking unless you already knew something. I know there's more. There always is with you. Catalina, don't soften it. Don't protect me. I want the truth. All of it. She turned away from the window, walking toward her slowly. Is it about her? The woman who sent the messages? Yes. Did you love her? No. Did you sleep with her? The pause was enough. Catalina froze. Her lips parted, then closed again. Say it. The billionaire's voice cracked. Once a long time ago, after I lost you, I didn't plan it. It didn't mean anything. You slept with the woman who led me back to you. She wasn't that then. She was someone who saw me unraveling. Someone who listened when I stopped speaking. I didn't love her. I barely even saw her. But you let her in. Not like I let you in. Catalina stepped back, her body rigid with something between betrayal and disbelief. I asked you last night. You said I slept with someone. I didn't say who because I knew it would hurt you. You think hiding it made it better? I think hiding it was cowardly and I regret it. But it didn't change how I felt about you. Not then. Not ever. You don't get to control what breaks me. Her words were sharp, full of fury she had tried to bury. You don't get to cure the damage. I know. She touched you. She saw the parts of you I thought were mine. No, the billionaire said quickly, stepping forward. She didn't see me. Not the way you did. Not the way you still do. It was a mistake. It was a collapse. You were gone. And I was trying to disappear, too. Did you ever tell her about me? She already knew. Everyone knew I wasn't exactly subtle. And now she's here in this town watching us, pushing us toward each other. Why? Because she saw what we had and she knew it wasn't over. Or maybe she's waiting for you to choose her again. I never chose her, but you did. For one night, you did. The words sliced deep. The billionaire had no defense left. Only truth. I hated myself for it. And I never touched anyone else after. Not for 5 years. Not until you. Catalina turned away, hands on her hips, breathing hard. I don't know what to do with this. Then don't do anything. Just stay. Let it be ugly for a minute. Let it be honest. Catalina's voice shook. I feel like I'm losing you again. You're not. You're seeing me. Really seeing me. Maybe for the first time. And what if I don't like what I see? Then I'll still be here because I'm done running. I'm done hiding from who I was. What I did. She walked to Catalina slow, cautious. Let me stand here. Let me stay. Even if you're furious. Even if you can't forgive me yet. Catalina looked at her, eyes burning. What do you want from me? Time, a chance, a fight. You already had me once, and you let me go, and I will make that mistake again. But I can't erase what I did. I can only be here now with you in the wreckage. Catalina finally moved. She stepped forward, pressed her palm flat against the billionaire's chest. You broke me, she whispered, and I stayed broken longer than I want to admit. I know. I loved you so much it scared me. I loved you so much it ruined me. Then maybe we're even. Maybe. Catalina looked up, face softening despite herself. And maybe I still love you too much. The billionaire's voice was a breath. Then don't go. I'm not going anywhere. The silence that followed wasn't cold. It was thick with something new. Not peace, but possibility. You'll have to face her, Catalina said quietly. The woman. I know. And you'll have to say it out loud. I will. Not just for me, for her. She deserves that much. Catalina nodded. Then I'll be there when you do. They stood together, the ocean roaring just beyond the glass. The pain was still there, the hurt. But so was something else, something stubborn and raw and real. Love. Imperfect, unpolished, but still burning. The past hadn't killed it. The truth hadn't ruined it. And for the first time, Catalina reached out. Not to hold, not to cling, but to anchor. Her fingers slipped into the billionaire's. Not forgiveness, but a beginning. Again, the message came that evening. A simple text. No signature, no timestamp, just a location and a time. Same woman, same silence, same unnerving precision. She knew where to find them. The billionaire stared at the screen, thumb hovering over it for a moment before locking the phone again. She wants to meet, she said without turning. Catalina, curled on the couch in the beach house, looked up slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes were not. Where? The place we met her the first time. The cafe. Catalina stood, pulling on her coat. Quiet but firm. Then we go together. You don't have to be there. Yes, I do. The car ride was nearly silent. The air between them was heavy but steady, no longer brittle. They were aligned now, even in the discomfort. The cafe was mostly empty when they arrived. It was after closing. The lights dimmed, chairs up on tables, except for one in the far back corner by the window. The same one where it had all started. She was already there, waiting, of course. Same crimson lipstick, same deliberate stillness like a woman used to control. She didn't stand when they entered, didn't smile. Just looked at both of them with that impossible calm. That same sharp-eyed understanding that had always made the billionaire feel exposed. You came, she said. You asked, the billionaire replied. And you brought her? She has a name. I know it. Her eyes flicked to Catalina, who stood beside the billionaire without flinching. You don't have to do this, the woman said to her. You're not the one who owes me anything. She doesn't. Catalina said softly, but I want to hear it, too. The woman's gaze returned to the billionaire. You said you'd tell me the truth. I waited 5 years. Then I gave you one final push, and here you are. You got what you wanted, the billionaire said. No, I got what she wanted, the woman answered, tilting her head toward Catalina. You're here because she still loved you, not because you were ready to face me. And now I am. Then say it. The billionaire inhaled slowly. I used you that night. I was angry, bitter, lost. You were kind and I hated you for it. I let you in because I couldn't feel anything else. And then I left without a word. The woman nodded once. True. I never loved you. You knew that. Also true. But I should have said it. I should have acknowledged what I did. I disappeared instead. And that wasn't fair. The woman leaned back. You were grieving. I wasn't innocent either. I wanted to be near your pain. I wanted to touch something that once belonged to her. She looked at Catalina again. I envied you. Still do, I think. Catalina didn't blink. Why help us then? Because I believe in love more than pride. And because I saw something in her that day. Something broken. Something worth saving. Even if it wasn't for me. Her eyes returned to the billionaire. I gave you the letters because I needed you to feel the weight of what you'd lost. And I gave her the notes because I wanted her to see that it wasn't too late. You played us both, the billionaire said. A little. The woman's mouth quirked, but there was no cruelty in it. But sometimes people need to be pushed. What do you want now? Nothing, she said simply. I wanted the truth and now I have it. Do you hate me? The billionaire's voice was quieter than she meant. No, she hesitated. I think in some way I loved what you represented, not who you were. You never let me see that part. She did, Catalina said. Eventually, the woman smiled, a soft and sad thing. Then she saw what the rest of us missed. A long silence fell over the table. No one moved. Then the woman stood, finally gathering her coat, her movements graceful. You don't owe me anything more, she said, but don't waste it this time. Don't let fear rot what's real. She paused, looked at Catalina one last time. Hearts like hers don't come twice. And then she walked away just like that. No drama, no final blow, just the quiet, aching exit of someone who had once reached out to love something that wasn't hers to hold. They didn't speak for a long time. The cafe was empty now, except for them. Outside, the night deepened. She's right, Catalina said softly. About what? About fear? About me? She's also wrong. How? The billionaire turned to her. Your heart comes once, but I found it twice. Catalina looked down. I still don't know what happens next. Weary build, the billionaire said. Day by day, truth by truth. Even the hard ones, especially those. Catalina reached for her hand. Then let's go home. To where? Anywhere you are. They stepped into the night together, fingers twined. The weight between them suddenly lighter. The ghosts trailed after, but for once they didn't lead. The future had no script, but it was theirs to write. They returned to the city 2 days later, quiet, not uneasy. Catalina kept her sunglasses on and her hood up as they slipped out through the private terminal. The billionaire didn't touch her, didn't stare, but her presence hovered like a shield. Tense, alert, necessary. They both knew what waited: press, speculation, the onslaught of questions. It had taken only 24 hours for headlines to bloom. Catalina walks out hours after wedding. Seen leaving town with reclusive tech billionaire. The photos were grainy but undeniable. The internet didn't need clarity, just a story. Her PR team had called 7 times. The billionaire's lawyers returned none of them. Not yet. She didn't want the noise. She wanted Catalina. Her apartment was all cool minimalism: glass, chrome, white marble, the sort of place people admired and never inhabited. When she opened the door and let Catalina in, the shift was immediate. Catalina turned slowly in the living room, taking in every sharp edge. You really live here? She asked softly. Technically, the billionaire said. It's beautiful and lonely. No answer came. Catalina drifted to the window, looking out across the skyline. How many nights did you stand here thinking about me? Too many. And how many did you pretend you didn't? Every other one. She turned and came toward her, measured, deliberate. You still don't know how to let people in, do you? I'm trying. You've lived behind glass so long, I'm not sure you know how to break it. Then break it for me. That's not my job, Catalina said, stopping inches away. You want me in your life. Make room. Not just in your bed, inside your days, your choices, your future. You already are. Then tell them, she said. Tell the world. The billionaire's jaw set. It's not that simple. It is, Catalina replied. Either I'm yours or I'm not. This isn't about shame, it's about fear. I understand fear. I lived in it, too. But I burned a marriage to be here. I won't be your secret. I never meant for you to be, the billionaire said, unblinking. Prove it. Catalina stepped back, arms crossing. What are you afraid of? That once I say it, I can't unsay it. That if I lose you again, the world will watch me fall. You think I came back just to leave? I think people leave all the time. Then you don't trust me. I don't trust anything that matters this much. Catalina's expression didn't soften. Then we're already over. She turned for the door and hurried, but certain. The billionaire didn't move at first. Heart hammering, every instinct urged retreat. One raw, insistent voice said this was the test. She moved. Wait. Catalina paused without looking back. I'll do it, the billionaire said. All of it. Public. Permanent. Real. Why now? Because I'd rather be broken with you than whole without you. Catalina turned slowly. Eyes wet but steady. Then say it out loud. The billionaire stepped forward and took her hand. You're mine not as possession, but as choice. And I want the world to know I chose you. The next morning, the statement went live. No spokesperson, no gauzy press release, just a single paragraph written by the billionaire herself. Posted everywhere. The rumors are true. Love is untidy, timing can be cruel, and sometimes we fail the first time around. I have loved Catalina Reyes for years quietly, deeply, with more regret than I can name. Today, I choose to love her out loud. That is the only truth I owe the world. The backlash hit immediately. Board members called emergency meetings. Stock prices trembled. Old interviews resurfaced. The media went wild. Catalina's name trended worldwide. Her ex-wife issued a short, classy statement. Some things aren't meant to last. I wish her happiness and truth. But in between the chaos, there was support. Thousands of messages, stories of women finding their courage. Posts that said, finally, that night, Catalina stood on the balcony watching the lights of the city. You didn't have to do it like that, she said. I did. You put your whole empire on the line. It's only worth something if you're in it. And what if the world doesn't forgive you? Then I'll survive. But I won't apologize for loving you. She turned to face her. And you? Any regrets? Catalina shook her head slowly. Only that I didn't do it sooner. They stood together in silence. The noise outside the apartment was deafening. Headlines, interviews, public opinion. But inside, they were still real. And for the first time, the love between them wasn't hidden, or quiet, or secret. It was honest. It was vulnerable. And it was just beginning. The world didn't take long to answer. Within hours of her statement, the narrative shifted from speculation to obsession. Interviews were requested. Former employees, distant relatives, forgotten classmates. Everyone suddenly had something to say about the reclusive billionaire who had stepped out of the shadows and into the fire for a woman she never stopped loving. Her board wasn't pleased. Shareholders whispered about instability. PR teams begged her to clarify, to walk it back, to add a no further comments line and let the chaos cool. She said no repeatedly, firmly. Catalina watched it all with an eerie calm, like someone who had expected this storm her entire life. She didn't hide. She didn't flinch. She simply stood beside her, and that more than anything made the billionaire feel unshakable. Until the first blow came from inside. A senior board member, someone she'd once mentored, trusted, called a meeting without her. Words like reputation risk and personal compromise were tossed around. She found out through a leak. Catalina read the article before she did. They're coming for you, she said softly. Let them, the billionaire replied. I'm not afraid. But she was not of losing power, of losing ground. Losing the only solid thing she'd ever built. Losing the space she'd carved out of nothing and called her own. And yet, when she looked at Catalina, curled barefoot on the couch in one of her oversized button-downs, legs tucked under her like she'd always belonged there, the fear shrank, not disappeared, but became something survivable. You're quiet, Catalina said, looking up from the news feed. I'm thinking about them, about you. A pause. And me, what about us? That I've never actually had a real relationship. Not like this. Catalina smiled faintly. You think this is real now. It's the first thing that ever felt like it. That night, they didn't go out. They didn't speak to press. They turned off phones, muted the world, and shut every curtain. In the silence, they rediscovered the sound of breath, the sound of skin, the sound of years collapsing into fingertips. Catalina's mouth found hers with a desperation that wasn't chaos. It was memory. It was need. Slow, reverent, no longer forbidden. The billionaire's hand slid under her shirt, relearning terrain she thought she'd lost forever. You still remember me? Catalina whispered against her neck. Every inch, the billionaire murmured. Every sound you make. The night stretched long, sweat-soaked, tangled in sheets and sighs and quiet moans that didn't ask for permission anymore. It wasn't just lust. It was grief and forgiveness made physical. It was claiming, not in dominance, but in presence. You're here. You stayed. You still want me. They fell asleep in the aftermath. Limbs entwined, her arm wrapped protectively around Catalina's waist. Their bodies finally allowed to rest in each other. In the morning, the board meeting was waiting. Catalina woke first, brewed coffee, kissed her shoulder to wake her. Time to be terrifying, she whispered. You coming with me, always. She wore black, clean, sharp lines. The suit she wore the day her company went public. This time it wasn't armor. It was declaration. When they entered the conference room, heads turned. Catalina walked in with her, chin high, unapologetic. No introduction was needed. The tension was immediate. We appreciate your time. One of the executives said, We've called this meeting to address recent events. You mean the part where I told the truth? The room went still. We believe your public admission may have affected investor confidence. I believe hiding who I am would have affected me more. Someone else cleared their throat. Your personal life is now inextricably linked to the company's public image. Then let the image evolve. Another voice. Calm, cool. We're not saying you did anything wrong, but we do question the timing, the transparency. You're not worried about my love life, she said. You're worried that my power is no longer serving only you. That shut them up. Catalina stayed silent through it all. But her hand under the table never left the billionaire's knee. Steady grounding. After the meeting, no one dared challenge her directly. Not yet. But she knew this was just the beginning. They would push harder. They would test her boundaries. And she would let them until they broke. Back at home, Catalina watched her undo her tie slow, methodical. You didn't blink once in there, she said. I wanted to. But you didn't because you were there. Catalina stepped behind her, wrapped her arms around her waist, rested her cheek against her back. You're stronger than they'll ever understand. You're the reason I'm still standing. Then don't let them shake you. I won't. Not now. Not when I finally have something worth losing. Catalina turned her around, looked her in the eye. You don't have me because you fought for me in a boardroom. Then why do I have you? Because when the world turned on us, you didn't run. You didn't hide. You reached for my hand. The billionaire swallowed. I do it again. Every time. Catalina leaned in. Then hold on. No matter what comes next. And when they kissed, it wasn't soft. It was fierce. It was fearless. It was real. The world might not be done testing them, but they were done hiding from it. It started with the interview request. Then two. Then a dozen. Offers poured in from every major media outlet. Morning shows, glossy magazines, even documentaries. Everyone wanted the exclusive. Everyone wanted their story. The love, the scandal, the escape, the reunion. They wanted vulnerability dressed as entertainment. Catalina rolled her eyes as she read the proposals on her phone. They're not interested in us. They're interested in tearing us apart and calling it journalism. The billionaire leaned against the kitchen counter. Coffee untouched. We can say no to all of it. Or we can say yes to just one on our terms. You'd be willing to go on record. Catalina looked up. I already did the moment I walked into your life again. But something else was brewing. More dangerous. More insidious. A name surfaced. Someone from Catalina's past, a woman from her university days, journalist, ambitious, relentless. She had reached out before, quietly, indirectly, looking for dirt on Catalina's wedding, on the relationship, on the woman who had pulled her out of it. This time, she was being direct. She wanted an interview, and if denied, she made it clear she'd run the story anyway. "She's not bluffing," Catalina said, sitting on the edge of the bed reading the email. "She never does. Who is she to you?" The billionaire's tone was calm, but sharp. "We dated briefly. It was nothing serious, but she's always wanted a story to break her into the next tier. And now we're it. She'll spin anything, find old photos, edit quotes, twist whatever she can. Let her." The billionaire said, "We've already told the truth. But truth isn't what sells. Sensation does. Then let's be louder than her. How we tell our own story fully. Nothing to hide. Nothing to weaponize." Catalina hesitated. "It's easy for you. You've spent your life being untouchable. I've spent mine surviving appearances. Then stop surviving. Start living." That night they made the decision. One interview, one platform, their way. A journalist they trusted, a setting they chose. No handlers, no scripts, just them, raw, real, side by side. On the day of the recording, the apartment was turned into a temporary studio. Soft lighting, neutral background, mix clipped, hair loose. Catalina wore black, elegant but strong. The billionaire wore gray, simple and direct. When the cameras rolled, neither of them flinched. "Tell us," the journalist began. "What changed?" The billionaire spoke first. "Nothing changed. We just stopped hiding." Catalina's voice followed, steady. "We let ourselves want what we already loved." The questions came softly, then sharper, about guilt, about timing, about the wedding. "You left a woman at the altar," the journalist said. "What do you say to that?" Catalina looked into the camera, eyes unwavering. "That I should have never said yes in the first place. That the real cruelty would have been staying. And you," the journalist turned to the billionaire, "you've been called a manipulator. That you orchestrated this to win her back, no matter the cost." "I didn't orchestrate anything," she said. "I was ready to let her go forever until someone reminded both of us what we were throwing away." "Would you do it again?" "Every time." Catalina reached for her hand. Then the camera caught it, fingers intertwined. The small gesture that said everything. "So what now?" the journalist asked. The billionaire looked at Catalina. "Now we stop apologizing." The interview aired 2 days later. It went viral in hours. Some people praised them, some condemned, but no one ignored them. And then the message came. Anonymous account. No name, just a line. "Some doors should stay closed. Some people should stay gone." Attached was a photo. Catalina, younger at a party. A kiss. A woman's face barely visible, half in shadow. The billionaire stared at it, eyes narrowing. "That's her," Catalina said. The journalist. "Yes, this is blackmail." "No, it's a threat." The billionaire's phone rang. "Private number," she answered. Silence on the line. Then a voice, cold female, familiar. "Careful what you dig up. Not everything buried is yours to claim." Click. The line went dead. Catalina sat down slowly. "She's not done then. Neither are we. She's not after you. She's after me. She wants to prove I'm not the victim. That I'm just another selfish woman who wanted attention. She's wrong. But that doesn't matter." "Then what does?" Catalina looked up, voice trembling. "That I believe it. That part of me still believes I don't deserve this." The billionaire knelt in front of her, took her face in her hands. "You deserve everything, even the love you keep trying to give back. What if I'm not who you think I am? Then I'll love you anyway." Catalina closed her eyes, a single tear slipping free. "I'm scared. So am I. Will you stay if it gets worse?" "I'll stay if it destroys me." And in that moment, nothing else existed. Not the threats, Not the past, not the fear, only the truth. The love. The unbreakable gravity pulling them toward each other again and again. The world would come for them. But they were done running. The email came at 3:07 a.m. Catalina didn't see it first. The billionaire did. She always woke in the middle of the night now, like her body anticipated war. She sat up in bed, screen glow lighting her face, pulse already drumming before the message finished loading. The subject line was simple. Your story ends now. The body was worse. A full draft of an article. 3,000 words of venom wrapped in journalistic tone. It painted Catalina as manipulative, disloyal, untrustworthy. It suggested the billionaire had orchestrated the wedding scandal for PR attention. It referenced anonymous sources, hinted at drug use in college, called her emotionally erratic, and a woman who builds her survival on the destruction of others. Attached for photos, old cropped, edited for effect, shadows deepened, expressions twisted. A portrait of two women rewritten into something salacious. She didn't wake Catalina. She sat in silence, breathing through her fury. Then she forwarded the article to her legal team. 1 hour later, they replied, "We can delay publication. Maybe even stop it, but she's protected." It's opinion, laced with just enough truth to make it impossible to sue cleanly. Catalina stirred around 5:00 a.m., her body reaching for the warmth beside her. She found the billionaire sitting at the window, lit by city light, unmoving. "It's her, isn't it?" she asked softly. The billionaire nodded once. "She's going to publish unless we give her what she wants, which is a sit-down one-on-one exclusive. No restrictions, just you and her live." Catalina froze. "She wants me to stand in front of the world and let her gut me." "Yes. And if I don't, she'll gut you anyway, just without your voice." The silence that followed was terrifying. Catalina didn't cry, didn't shout. She just sat on the edge of the bed, hands clasped tightly in her lap, staring at nothing. "She knows how to twist things," she said quietly. "She always did." She called it truth, but it was control. If I looked happy, she'd remind me I wasn't. If I smiled too long, she'd say I was fake. And if I cried, she'd call me dramatic. The billionaire walked to her, knelt down, took her hands. Then take that power back by sitting across from her again, by refusing to let her rewrite your life. "What if I freeze? Then I'll be there every second. What if she wins? Then we lose together. But at least we lose on our terms." The live stream was scheduled for 3 days later. It spread fast. Teasers, countdowns, speculation. The public braced for spectacle. What they got was something else entirely. The studio was minimal. Black backdrop. 2 chairs, 1 table. The journalist wore white. Catalina wore navy. The billionaire wasn't on camera, but she was there just off frame watching like she could the bullets away. The interviews started civil, then sharpened. "You left your wife for a woman who abandoned you once already. Do you consider that a pattern of self-sabotage?" Catalina didn't flinch. "I consider it a correction. You've been accused of emotional instability. Would you say that's fair?" "I would say loving someone who's afraid of being loved makes you doubt your own sanity. You lied to someone you vowed to love forever. How do you justify that?" "By realizing that staying would have been the real betrayal." "Some say you're addicted to drama. Maybe. Or maybe I just stopped settling for silence." The journalist leaned forward. "And what about the woman beside you now? Do you trust her after everything?" Catalina turned to the camera. Her voice didn't shake. "I trust her more than I trust myself. Because when everything broke, she didn't run. And when I was too afraid to speak, she listened anyway. She chose me. I choose her." The journalist blinked, thrown for the first time. "You're saying this isn't a PR stunt?" Catalina laughed soft and sharp. "The only thing we're trying to recover is time." After the stream ended, the public didn't explode the way they expected. It sighed. Soft, stunned, shaken. Something about the clarity, the composure, the calm defiance. It shifted the tone. The article leaked anyway, but now it rang hollow. The story had already been told by Catalina herself on her own terms. That night, the billionaire wrapped her arms around her in bed, lips at her temple. "You are brilliant. I was shaking the whole time. I know, but you didn't show it because I kept looking at you. You saved us." "No," Catalina whispered. "We saved me together. The war wasn't over, but they just won a battle no one thought they'd survive. Together, still standing, still holding on." The days after the interview were quieter than expected. The world didn't explode. It didn't riot or cheer or collapse. It simply adjusted slowly, awkwardly. Headlines cooled. Investors backed off. The ex-wife issued a final statement. "Some people come into your life to show you what you're not. I hope they find what they are." It was classy. It was painful. It was over. The billionaire's company stabilized. Not because the controversy died, but because she didn't. She showed up, led meetings, signed deals, wore the same sharp suits, and answered every loaded question with deliberate calm. And beside her always was Catalina. They didn't pose for photos. They didn't attend red carpets or walk into restaurants holding hands for attention. But they stopped hiding, and that in itself changed everything. Still, the quiet was unfamiliar, almost unsettling. One evening, a week after the live interview, they sat on the floor of the apartment, sharing a bottle of wine, surrounded by half-empty takeout containers and open windows. The wind was soft, the night gentle. It should have felt perfect, but Catalina was restless. The billionaire noticed it in the way she kept touching her necklace, in the way she stared out the window longer than necessary, in the way she avoided eye contact for the first time in weeks. "You're somewhere else," she said finally. Catalina looked down at her glass. "I don't know how to stop surviving." The billionaire set her wine aside. "What do you mean? I've spent so long being in crisis mode, dodging press, protecting people, pretending I was fine. And now that it's quiet, I don't know how to just exist. How to let this be good." The billionaire nodded slowly. "I understand. Do you?" "Yes. I'm the queen of building castles on quicksand. And now I'm trying to build something with roots." Catalina looked at her. "And if I don't know how to stay still, then we moved together slowly, deliberately, but never alone." Catalina hesitated. "Do you ever think we rushed into this?" "No," she said without pause. "But I think we jumped from fire into softness, and now we don't know what to do with the stillness. It feels like waiting for the next hit." "There's no next hit. You don't know that." "No," the billionaire said gently. "But I know we've faced everything else and we're still here." Catalina crawled into her lap, then quiet, needing touch more than reassurance. The billionaire wrapped her arms around her, holding her like something fragile and sacred. "I don't want to ruin this," Catalina whispered. "You won't. What if I do? Then we rebuild again and again. I'm not leaving." Catalina pressed her face to her neck. "Promise." "I swear." For a while that was enough. The wine turned warm, the food forgotten. They kissed like the air between them had always belonged to their mouths. Slow, anchored, real. But later that night in bed, something cracked. Catalina was asleep, her body soft against the billionaire's chest when she stirred with a sharp breath. Sat up to fast, hand over her heart. The billionaire jolted awake. "What is it?" Catalina's eyes were glassy, her breath short. Nothing, just a dream. Talk to me." I was back in the wedding dress, walking down the aisle. Everyone staring. But you weren't there. I looked at every row, every seat. The one next to me was empty. I'm here now. But the dream didn't know that. It wasn't real. It felt real. "You don't have to prove anything anymore." "That's not true," she whispered. "I feel like I do every day. Like I have to earn the right to be here." The billionaire took her face gently in her hands. "You're not a guest in my life. You're the reason it's finally mine." Catalina closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. "It still feels like I'm going to wake up and find you gone." "I'm not going anywhere." "Then say it again." I'm not going anywhere. Louder. I'm not going anywhere. Catalina buried herself against her chest, clinging like she'd fall through the bed otherwise. And the billionaire held her until the tremors stopped, until the breathing slowed, until the dream faded into dust. The next morning, Catalina made pancakes. They were slightly burnt and unevenly shaped. The billionaire ate every one of them. I'm trying, Catalina said, watching her with cautious eyes. You're succeeding. Even if I don't have it all figured out, especially then. They ate in silence, legs touching under the table. The kind of quiet that didn't ache. That afternoon, a delivery arrived. A small package. No note, just a thin envelope inside. Catalina opened it, read the card, then handed it to the billionaire. Her hands were shaking. It was an invitation. Embossed, expensive, deliberate. The wedding of Lena Whitfield and Elodie Carr. Please save a seat beside you. Catalina stared at her. Lena, my ex-wife. She's marrying again. The billionaire looked at the envelope, then at her. And she sent this. Yes. Why? I don't know. Are you going? Catalina didn't answer right away. Then only if you come with me. The billionaire reached across the table, took her hand, and squeezed it. Always. And for the first time, Catalina smiled. Really smiled. Like something in her finally believed this piece was real. The past had found a new chapter, and so had they. They flew out 2 days before the wedding. No press, no entourage, just them. 2 bags and the weight of a past that no longer had power but still had presence. Catalina was quiet on the plane, fingers laced through the billionaire's. Her eyes tracing the clouds like they were watching her instead of the other way around. You sure you want to do this? The billionaire asked. Catalina turned slowly. I'm not going for her. I'm going for the version of me that almost stayed. The drive to the venue was coastal and winding. The kind of route that would have once filled Catalina with anxiety. Now she rested her head against the window, humming under her breath. The venue was beautiful, modern, elegant. Nothing like the one she had nearly walked down the island. The staff welcomed them like they knew, not just who they were, but what they represented. Redemption. Reclamation. Catalina held the invitation in her hand like a symbol. A relic from a life she no longer belonged to but still respected. At the entrance, an attendant handed them a seating card. Her name, the billionaire's name, side by side. She meant it, Catalina whispered. She really saved me a seat. The ceremony was short, soft, intimate. Lena looked radiant, happy in a way she hadn't been when she stood across from Catalina. Elodie, her bride, had warmth in her eyes. Patience, a different kind of love, quiet but solid. When the vows ended and the applause began, Catalina clapped gently. Lips parted in something close to awe. I didn't know it could be like that, she said. The billionaire leaned in. Neither did I until you. At the reception, Lena approached them slowly. She wore a simple dress, her hand entwined with Elodie's. There was no bitterness, no accusation, just clarity. I'm glad you came, Lena said, eyes on Catalina. You look lighter. Because I am. You to seem real. Catalina smiled. We are. Lena nodded. Then I'm happy for you. For both of you. She looked at the billionaire. You held her when I couldn't. She held herself, the billionaire said. I just refused to let go. Elodie joined them then, arm wrapping casually around Lena's waist. Thank you for coming, she said. And somehow that was the most surprising kindness of all. Catalina exhaled. Thank you for inviting us. They didn't stay long after. Long enough to see what healing could look like. Long enough to understand they'd found it, too. Back at the hotel, the billionaire pushed open the balcony doors and let the sea air roll in. Catalina stepped out barefoot, arms folded, her gaze thoughtful and still. I kept imagining I'd feel shame coming here, she said. But I don't. I just feel free. The billionaire slipped her arms around Catalina's waist from behind. You earned that. No, Catalina murmured. We did. Moonlight traced silver across her skin, and for a stretch of quiet time, they held each other as if nothing else mattered. "Do you still have it?" Catalina asked suddenly. "Have what?" "The first note, the one that brought you to the wedding." The billionaire smiled, went inside, and opened her wallet. She unfolded a small, worn square of paper and placed it in Catalina's hand. Catalina's fingers trembled as she opened it. "Save me a seat beside you." A breath of a laugh left her. She knew exactly what she was doing. "She did," the billionaire agreed. "But so did we. We just didn't know it yet." Catalina stepped closer. "Ever think about writing your own letter? A promise. Right now? Here?" the billionaire asked. Catalina nodded. The billionaire pulled a pen and hotel notepad from the nightstand. She stared at the page for a beat, then wrote, folded the note once, and slipped it into Catalina's palm. "Don't open it until tomorrow." Catalina smirked. "Bossy boundaries." "Fine, but only if you read mine, too." She scribbled her own, folded it with care, and tucked it into the billionaire's hand. "Tomorrow," she echoed. "Deal." They fell asleep tangled in limbs and sheets, heartbeats settling into a shared rhythm that only love ever explains. In the morning, they traded notes like kids, giddy and solemn at once. Catalina opened hers first. "I will never let fear be louder than love again. Not with you. Not ever." The billionaire read her note in silence, then looked up, eyes bright with tears. Catalina watched, nervous. "Too much?" The billionaire shook her head. "No, just enough." She rose and drew Catalina into a steady embrace. "What did I say?" Catalina whispered. The billionaire's voice was low and full. "You wrote, 'I want to grow old with you.' But more than that, I want to grow with you. Every version, every chapter, every day we don't know what we're doing, I want it with you." "I meant it," Catalina said, tucking her face into the curve of her neck. "So do I." The world kept turning. Headlines dimmed. Strain eased. But the love, they never let that quiet. They moved into a new place with more sunlight and less glass. They burned the old invitation. They framed the first note. They left the balcony doors open more often. They kissed in grocery aisles, laced fingers in elevators, argued about takeout, and kissed through thunder. And whenever doubt crept in, one reminded the other, "We made it." Not perfectly, not cleanly, but completely. Not because they were fearless, but because they stopped letting fear win. The seat beside her was never empty again. If you enjoyed this and want to support the channel in a special way, you can tap the thanks button, the heart with the $sign. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution that helps me keep creating videos for you.